Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. It's the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown each and every Sunday night. I'm Bob Pompeani. We have a lot to get into, including March Madness. Yes, we're at that time of the year. We'll get into that a little bit. Also, the Pirates getting closer to opening day. Will Connor Griffin be on that roster? Steelers heading into free agency, but the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown are the Penguins, who came up with 3 points this weekend, and they did it in a very crazy way. With us tonight, Andrew Fillipponi, PM Team, The Fan. We got Mark Kaboly from the Pat McAfee Show, and Jeff Hathhorn, who's been everywhere. You were at the game today, Jeff. Saw you there, and I know that it went late. I appreciate you getting here. Let's talk about what this 2 points meant, because they have gone through so much in terms of shootouts, overtime, lack of success, loser points. How big was 3 points this weekend for this team, minus all the things they're without?
Huge. I mean, they still would have been in a playoff spot if they had lost the game and gotten no points. But to be able to come back down in the third, to beat a team that had owned you, to get a goal in overtime where you've struggled mightily. I mean, to check all those boxes before you go on the road, and to do it without your two all-time greats, I thought it was a monster win for them.
I mean, they got some grit, man. That's one thing you've noticed over these past, couple of games without Malkin, without Crosby, which I think should be able to take you into the playoffs, where if they are able to get into it, you're like, they might have a shot here, because everything's stacked against them. Even the future schedule here, which is, as you said, going on the road is really rough. So getting these points right now, Crosby may be coming back, but I definitely like their grit today, or this weekend.
This game changed my opinion of them, as crazy as that sounds. 1 out of 82.
Best win of the year, then?
Biggest comeback of the year, best win. I honestly think this might go down as one of the greatest stories in Pittsburgh sports history.
Oh, no. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Based on, why are you saying oh no? Based on
you're talking about what it could mean in terms of springboarding.
Just based on where they started the season, they were expected to be, other than you, of course.
I thought they'd be
I know, you were the only person in the world who thought they were going to make the playoffs. They were projected to be one of the worst teams in the NHL. They're in a playoff spot. They've defied odds, expectations. They bounce back when guys get hurt or out of the lineup. The East is wide open. They've got me convinced that they can do something really, really special this year with these guys in their golden years. So I'm in. I'm on board.
Well, you may change your opinion depending on what's coming up this week or the next 10 days. Jeff, they got to go bookend Carolina on the road. And in between, you got Vegas, Utah, and Colorado. That is a big, big schedule. And then after that, they have Colorado twice. They have Vegas. They have, who else is on that list? All these playoff teams. So are you convinced, as Pony is, that this could be something special?
Well, I think regardless, it's a hell of a story. I mean, for them to be in this position right now with this condensed schedule, with the injuries they've had, with Malkin getting 5 games in the middle of this, I think is...
We're going to get to that, and I think that's interesting.
I think it's a huge thing. I mean, listen, Dan Muse is Coach of the Year.
Dubas should be Executive of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, Dubas, everything he's touched, all these little trades he's made, and he described it and I know everybody wants, as he put it, everyone wants to see action at the trade deadline, but he did make moves early and then got to see how those guys fit. And I guess if they wouldn't have fit, they could have traded them off.
They made Pirates moves this offseason, okay? They made 1 year, tiny deals.
All right.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. They made these 1-year rentals, and it looked like they were for trade deadline chips, right? For ammunition to get future draft picks.
Right.
And Mantha's got almost 25 goals.
Yeah.
Brazeau, who was out today, has had a very good year. Wotherspoon's played on the top pair all year. The Chinnikov trade was not a blockbuster deal, and look how well he's played.
And before that, Dewar and Novak.
Dewar had his 14th goal today.
He's unbelievable.
Right. I mean, these are guys. They're not household names. They were low-risk, high-reward moves.
Mark, I want to ask you about Malkin, though. That's a big story, because if they had lost today and only got 1 point this weekend, I'm sure Malkin's probably the guy right now who feels the best, the happiest for this weekend, because he is going to be gone for 5 games, 2 gone now, 3 to go. When you look back at that play that he made to get 5 games, your thought process, what was he thinking?
Just lost it. I mean, sometimes you just lose it, right?
But he loses it too much in those situations.
Yes, I mean, it's just a bad look, bad penalty, especially with Crosby being out, too. You cannot do that. I'm sure he's learned his lesson, but sometimes you're such a high-level athlete like that, and something happens to you, and you don't have any control over it. I don't think he was thinking. I don't think he was thinking.
He should have known about what was Crosby's out. You can't afford to do that.
I understand it,
and I don't care what your Russian, attitude.
split moment,
you
you're
can't
like,
do it.
oh.
You can't do it.
I know you can't do it. I mean, if it's going to be, they're lucky to get these points over this past weekend to be able to quell that a little bit. But yeah, I just think that it's not something that I don't think he would always do. I think it's just something that just caught him at that point.
Listen, I get it. You're being cross-checked. It's annoying, but you're 39. You're not 22. You're not 22 and a guy keeps giving it to you. You're 39, and you just turn and swing, and it could have been worse than it was.
Could have been.
Because you know how the NHL doles out punishment. Yeah. If he would have been hurt, then we're talking about a lot longer suspension than what it is. I mean, you can't do that at that time. You can't lose your cool.
It could be a blessing to these guys.
What?
Some of these younger guys now know that they have to step up and be successful without them. Maybe you go on the road now, and I'm not counting them out on the road here either. I mean, we've been counting them out all year long.
I'm not counting anything.
No, you
I'm
ain't
just
counting
saying
them
it's
out.
a tough stretch.
This is the guy who picked the them
well,
for the playoffs.
He picked the Pirates to win 100 games every year,
No,
too.
I didn't do that. No.
Well, he'll make a prediction on them in about 2 weeks, and we'll see what that number comes in at.
Number is.
It's going to be 80 plus. I can guarantee you that.
I agree.
Look, it was one of the most selfish things, given the situation, that I've seen from a high-end Hall of Fame level athlete. There's no excuse for it. If they had lost today and had blundered this homestand, it would have been his fault. And I don't care. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It's a guess because we're not in his body or head. My personal opinion is that the contract situation is affecting him, and that was his frustration overall bleeding out and
you may be right about that, but it should not.
No, never.
It should not
That's
affect
not
that.
an excuse for it,
That
Bob.
conversation should happen at the end of the year. He may want it now. Where's he going to go? Come on. He said he wants to be here. Jeff, I think there's no reason to think at this point that you should get an extension.
No.
He's had a good year, and he may still get one, and I would love to see him get one, actually, for 1 year.
And I mean, to Pony's point, like, I'm sure every player is compartmentalizing something in their life. And that can't be an excuse in that scenario.
But star players aren't used to having to wait on things and being told.
But when you're 39,
well, he thinks he's having a great year. I think it's
he
the
is.
issue.
He's having a good year.
Can't we just chalk this cross-check over to just a mistake? Just made a mistake.
You can't do it knowing.
I know you can't do it, but
you have
it's
to be
just a
aware that
mistake.
Crosby's gone. If you do that,
Mark,
you're
DK Metcalf just made a mistake. That's what we just do.
Yeah,
We slouch our shoulders and say, no big deal. Take a swing at a guy in the stands.
Yeah, that was a dumb mistake. You see what?
Use your stick as a weapon. Yeah, why not?
Well, what I'm saying is I don't think he was intending to hurt somebody. I think it was just a spur of the moment
Intended to hurt
mistake.
somebody. He took his stick and swung it at somebody's head. What is the intent there?
Stop, and sometimes you have no control. That's all I'm getting.
You got to have control. All right, I got to take control of this segment, and we're going to move on talking about the Steelers, because guess what? Legal tampering. You like that? We're going to talk about it next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, we're talking about the Steelers. Free agency is upon us, officially Wednesday, but they'll get started tomorrow with legal tampering. Mark Kaboly, they got to figure out the quarterback situation, because if Rodgers isn't coming back, they have to figure something out maybe in free agency. What do you think happens?
First of all, I think Rodgers comes back, and we'll probably hear sooner rather than later when it comes to that. And I think they'll just run it back. Same three guys last year. Have Will Howard, Mason Rudolph fight for the number 2 spot and move on from there. I think that's will be how you have to go. I mean, I think Kyler Murray's probably going somewhere else, right? I don't know if you'd want him anyways. I don't care if he makes 1.3 or whatever. I already seen about 4 Kyler Murrays come through here in the past 3 or 4 years,
Russell
right?
Wilson
You like some of those guys, Mark, including Russell Wilson.
Well, Russell Wilson was good for what he was at that point. He's 30. What was he? 35 at the time. 34.
But there's more
He's
on
a
the bone
Justin
there with
Fields to
Kyler
me.
Murray, isn't there? I mean, if he gets his act together, he has a lot of talent.
Yeah.
For 1.3
but then
million.
you have to. I think you have to commit to him. I mean, you either have to sign him to an extension before he comes here, or risk losing him to big money next year. Do you even want to go down that route?
Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers is option A, period. And then to Mark's point, I don't think they're going to make a splash. I think they would, assuming Aaron comes back, they keep the other 2. Maybe they take a flyer late in the draft on somebody, or they're going to sign in another camp arm, but that's going to be
So
the
you
group
think
going
then
forward.
they'll spend their money on free agency, wide receiver?
Yes.
Number 1 position?
I think they have a number of positions they could spend that money on. I mean, they have a number of needs. They need a guard, they need a corner, need a safety, need a wide receiver, need multiple wide receivers.
Yeah. What do you think, Pony?
Well, let me start by saying it on this exact date last year, everyone said it's Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. And they both went to New York, and then Aaron Rodgers ended up coming here in June.
You're right.
So It's all up in the air. You know, if Aaron Rodgers was going to be here 100%, he should be signed by now. To me, it's ridiculous that free agency starts at noon tomorrow, and we don't know who their quarterback is.
Do you think they know?
I think they have a feeling, but I don't think they know 100%. Look who they're dealing with. They're dealing with a guy that goes on TV and says, I'm trying to stay in good shape because of things I can't talk about on this TV show right now. Okay? I mean, that's, to me, that he's an enigma. He's mercurial. I don't know. Yes, no, maybe. So to me, for a guy that's turning 43, it's not worth it. I would do what you brought up. I would try to sign Kyler Murray for $1.3 million. I don't know why you would make that sound when he's a 28-year-old quarterback that has played for arguably the worst franchise in the entire NFL.
Oh, I can name about 4 others worse than that.
Arizona's won 7 playoff games since they've moved to Phoenix. Since they came into the league, I think they have the second lowest win percentage. Only Tampa Bay is worse.
I know they made the playoffs before the Jets have last made the playoffs.
Okay, great. And how many teams have won playoff games since the Steelers? So if we're going to play that game.
Even if it's Rodgers, Jeff, it's 1 year and they got to figure this out. So if it's a choice, let's say Rodgers doesn't give them an answer and they are forced to do something, I think they got to know this week, don't you? Because otherwise you're going to have to draft another quarterback or bring in one of these reclamation guys who's been out there.
Well, I mean, and Omar said it, and I think he's kind of said it multiple times, that it's not going to be last year, that they're going to get an answer. Now, what we saw on the McAfee show didn't lead us to believe that we are going to get an answer anytime sooner. Maybe they know, maybe they're hedging their bets internally that he is going to say yes. But, yeah, to Pony's point, I mean, why doesn't he just say yes? Like,
listen, McCarthy talked to him multiple times. Omar talked to him a couple times, or at least once or twice, whatever it was. You don't think this was brought up? You think it was just, hey, how you doing? You staying in shape? How's the dog? How's Malibu? No, he knows darn well what the heck's going on.
But his comments during that interview were, it takes 2 to tango, and I'm still a free agent.
He doesn't have the contract because you're not going to commit to him until he says yes. I'm coming back.
Why can't he say yes now, Mark, is what we're saying. Why can't he say yes today?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Should they give him a date? Say, we need to know tomorrow at noon.
Well, I don't think they would do that because they don't want to, you're going to love this one, upset him at all.
Great. Yeah.
but wouldn't you think it would help the overall team, too? Like, hey, I know I'm going to play with Aaron Rodgers. I'm a receiver. I'm going to sign there.
That's a good point, Mark.
Well, they knew last year the same thing, too, right? When Metcalf was coming.
Well, they made Metcalf a financial offer that he couldn't say no to. They made him one of the 5 highest paid wide receivers in the entire NFL.
Maybe
with Alec Pierce.
Maybe Rodgers is holding around to see what they get in this Monday or Tuesday.
All right, real quick, I want to ask you this here. Pony, start with you. Max Crosby, traded 2 number 1s. Baltimore needed Max Crosby. They only had 30 sacks last year, one of their worst totals ever. What does this do for them, and are they now the team to beat if they weren't already?
They're not the team to beat to win the Super Bowl because their quarterback stinks.
No, win the division.
They're probably. I mean, they couldn't get any pass rush last year. It was by far their biggest Achilles heel. They still almost won the division when they had to play Tyler Huntley in Week 17. So, yeah, I think he's one of the 5 best pass rushers in the NFL. It makes them better, but I think it's a very desperate move to give up 2 first-round picks for him.
Just gave Huntley, what, $10 million?
Yeah.
Whew, that's a lot. That was a lot to give up for Max Crosby. Not only do you have to give up 2 firsts, you got to pay whatever it is. That's a steep.
But he's making less money than all these other guys. He's in the $29 million range.
Still, I don't know if one guy like that can affect it because that defense, I guess Kyle Hamilton, he could pair with him nicely on that defense, but that defense did struggle. I mean, if you want to win now, I guess that's the way you go, but you might be mortgaging the future a little bit with a lot of those draft picks.
Yeah, I'll say this for the Ravens. They're going for it. I mean, they've got their all-time quarterback, all-time running back, all-time tight end. They have Linderbaum. They've got some other questions they have, but they're going for it.
And they have a new head coach who likes defense, and he knows what they need. So he went after it that way. So be interesting to see, but that legal tampering is tomorrow. It officially opens on Wednesday, but we'll have all the answers probably before then. When we come back, we're going to look for an answer to Connor Griffin. Where is he going to start this season? Should it be here? Should it be in AAA? We'll talk about it next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Pirates were winners today. They got home runs by Billy Cook and Nick York. But the big name down there has been, of course, Connor Griffin. Skeens is going to pitch tomorrow in the World Baseball Classic, and we'll see how he does there. But Connor Griffin, Jeff, I want to ask you about this because he's a guy that looks ready to go, although he hasn't had big numbers this spring. I didn't think that was going to be the barometer I would use. It's how he handled things in the minors. He's never played in AAA. Right. Should he play in AAA, and do you think that's the plan based on what Ben Cherington said?
If their metrics and their eye tests tell them that go along with the stats that he's not ready, send him to AAA. Let him get some seasoning. But as long as it's not a decision of, hey, let's try to extend him or let's let's try to get another year out of him to send him down. That shouldn't play a factor. But, I mean, his numbers overall aren't great, and they should be able to tell from what they're looking at whether or not he looks ready to go.
Well, it seems like the plan all along to me, right? I mean, regardless of what he did in AAA, that he was always going to go to Indy.
Or he never played in AAA. That's
I know. That's a big thing. I don't think there's any harm for him going there for a month or so. The last thing you want to do is bring him up here and have him be overwhelmed. I know he's married and whatnot, and he's, he's a guy that's mature. But I want to at least ease him in a little bit today.
I think there's potential for big harm. Not necessarily, I'm not even talking about his career. I'm talking about the Pirates in 2026. I think there's a lot invested in this season in terms of the deals they made. I don't think it's a division that's going to put 3 teams in the playoffs like it did last year. If they get off to a slow start and their left side of the infield struggles, fans are going to point to that in media, and they're going to be right. And I think it could come down to a game or two between them and the Cubs or the Brewers or the Reds to win the division. So, heck yeah, there's harm. If you're playing bums out there, Mark, to steal your term, and they're hitting 210, and you've got
That's what he's doing now, though.
Yeah, but come on now.
It's still March 8th.
Yeah, I'm not
Like, give him
looking-
another couple of weeks. You don't have to make that decision now. Give him the whole spring training. And if by the end, maybe he's ramping up into something where at the end of the spring training, you're like, man, you'd be crazy to send him down, but you already made
But I
up
think
the
he is
your
going
decision.
down. I'm with Mark on this. I think he is starting
I
to
think he
see
is now,
AAA.
too. I didn't think that originally. I think now, based on everything Charrington said, that that's their plan. And the plan better be to get off to a good start.
Yeah,
then.
Nick Gonzalez
Because
and
the
Jared
longer
Triolo
that
better
goes,
hit.
right, if they get off to a good start and he's down there and fine, he's getting, then you can pick your spots with him. But if they get off to a bad start, Jeff, they did last year. Their April was awful, and it cost them.
And they'll tell you in September after a bad loss, well, you know what? Those games in April matter too.
They do.
Well, if they do matter, you should bring your best guys up. And it's like I don't get it. Well, it's baseball. Ben Kindle's 18 years old, he weighs 160 pounds, and he's getting leveled by guys twice his size. And yet, Connor Griffin at 19, at 235, 6'4", isn't ready. The numbers should tell you whether he's ready, not any other stat at all.
What's Kindle's exit velo?
We're going to take a break. Speaking of that, I got to exit to this velo. We're going to come back and talk about March Madness and Jeff Capel. Is he on the hot seat to the point where Pitt may be making a change at head coach? We'll get into that next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, don't settle for anything less. The #1 Cochran Kia is clearly better car buying experience. You can enjoy exclusive, clear-cut pricing where you get their most competitive offer and you get it up front. Take advantage of exceptional lease and finance rates and choose from a lineup of hundreds of new Kia models. Experience clearly better car buying at #1 Cochran Kia, in-store, online, cochrankia.com. Pony, I want to ask you about Jeff Capel. There are reports out there that Pitt wants to make a move and they've gathered enough money where they can, whatever the buyout is it $14 million or something like that, Jeff?
It's north of 10 is the rumor.
Right. All right. So your thoughts? 8 years here.
And 1 NCAA tournament appearance. That's nowhere close to the standard that was set by Ben Howland and Jamie Dixon. Now, that's a long time ago, but Pitt paid Jeff Capel enough money to get him and then extend him a couple times where you expect much better results. They're in a bad position, though. The NIL era, everything else, they've got a big-time uphill battle to become a relevant college basketball program again, in my opinion.
How about taking that $10 or $12 million buyout and give it to some of the players? I mean, you got to have players.
You also have to hire a new coach. It ain't going to be cheap, whoever that is.
That's what I'm saying. Keep him around and use that money that you're going to buy him out with to bring in the BYU guys. You're getting $7 million. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
oh,
I mean,
my goodness.
Listen, full disclosure, I do a show with Jeff. So, I mean, I would say this. Bottom line of results in this business, and he's only been to the NCAA tournament once. But whoever you bring in there, if they don't have more resources, it won't change. They need to invest in that program in order to take it to the next level, whether you do it with Jeff or whomever.
Right. You need a lot of money. You need big backers who are going to do that. The teams that we often talk about have those big backers. Pitt right now does not. Maybe that's a product of 8 years of not doing much either. Duquesne's win yesterday, Andrew, pretty impressive. They came back. They were down 38-8. Let's talk about Duquesne, just this tournament coming to the PPG Paints Arena.
Well, it's an opportunity, again, to do something magical that gets them on people's radars. I mean, they made the tournament a couple years ago with Dan Brott, and that was the first time they'd made it since the 70s. And they're going to have quasi-home court advantage in a league that's probably going to send 1 or 2 teams to the NCAA tournament. When they made it a couple of years ago, in the quarterfinal round, every single better seed lost. And that's what opened things up for them, and maybe they'll have similar luck this year. But you want to be playing your best basketball this time of year, and they do go in now with some momentum with that epic comeback on Saturday.
Absolutely.
I think the A-10 is ripe for a low seed to win it. I think
St. Louis is playing poorly right now, and they're the team that's led the whole way.
I mean, I know George Mason's played well at times. Dayton is always a factor, but I think this is going to be a fun tournament because I think one of 6, 7, 8 teams could win it.
Yeah, wide open in the 8. That always is.
6-7.
6-7, that's why I said that.
6-7, yeah.
I wonder what type of crowds are going to get there. I think. I
bet
mean,
you
if you
pretty
get
good crowds.
if you get a good pro Duquesne crowd,
Yeah.
obviously.
We got to go to break. Come back with more right after this on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Before we go, Robert Morris, Andy Toole's done a great job. Does RMU get to the tournament again?
They do. They win the championship game against Wright State by 27 points.
Wow.
Yes or no, Mark?
I'd say yes. Andy Toole deserves it.
And their defense is coming around. Yeah, I'll say yes.
We're going to have a lot of college basketball to talk about next week because it's Selection Sunday. We'll do that as we continue every Sunday night right here with my son, Andrew, and the rest of our panelists on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I could have been slashed. Does he have a stick? Where's